Rollo May, the author of Love and Will and other powerful books, once said, "Courage is not the absence of despair. It is, rather, the capacity to move ahead in spite of despair." Several decades ago, when I was struggling to leave a troubled marriage, I reached a point of the darkest despair I had ever known. Through my tears, I made a life-changing decision. I decided I had to become strong enough to stay with my then husband. And then, how I dealt with my suffering changed my life. And in becoming strong enough to stay, I became strong enough to leave. I am now a life coach, and I work with people who are seeking relief from suffering, both emotional and physical. So I've considered the realities of pain and suffering at length, learning from my own experiences and from the help I've given clients. Hello, I'm Kathy Jacobson, and I'm the founder of modesofemotion.com, where we believe emotions are energy, energy is power, and therefore emotions are power. Our mission is to help people access the vast ocean of personal power they possess. We work to reduce conflict and suffering within ourselves, between individuals, and in the world. Now, I've often wondered whether pain and suffering always go together, or are they separate concepts? Or have the words been linked together so often they've become a cliche? Several years ago, in trying to write about them together or apart, I quite suddenly realized the difference. I realized pain is a message and suffering is a story. I've produced an ebook that specifically addresses pain. It's called Easing Pain, 8 Action Steps for Long-Term Relief. You can receive a free copy by visiting our website, modesofemotion.com, and sharing your email address. Today is the first of 6 videos that focus on freedom from suffering as separate from easing pain. The practice of releasing suffering includes these 6 steps. 1. Identify your story of suffering. 2. Own your part. 3. Pause, look, listen, and stop. Move from what is to what might be. 5. Retrain your brain. And 6. Accept your rate of progress. You will find links to each of these videos in the story notes. The first 3 of these steps helps clarify the nature of your suffering. The last 3 focus on relief and freedom. So let's get right into the first mindful step. Identify the story of your suffering. Your suffering is very familiar to you. It's been churning through both your mind and your body for a long time. Your thoughts review everything that is wrong, and your body has become susceptible to a variety of aches and pains. To deal with all this misery, you've probably developed any number of coping mechanisms. Perhaps you overeat or drink too much, or indulge in spending sprees, or get angry or aggressive or defensive, or expect others to take care of you. The first action toward freedom is to use your thoughts to explore your emotions. To take this step, mentally observe your emotional response to what's going on. Identify what you're feeling and call your suffering by name. In a way, this is like browsing through the library or a bookstore. First, you decide whether you're looking for fiction or nonfiction, and you go to that section. If you decide nonfiction, you narrow your focus to history, perhaps, or science, or food, or sports. The same applies to visiting your own suffering. Since you already know you are suffering, narrow it down to the way you are suffering. Is yours a story of misery, or grief, or anger, or anxiety, or, fill in the blank? If you should recognize you're anxious, see if you can identify it more specifically. Are you overwhelmed? Are you experiencing a hostility or worry or ambition? Now, because your story is painful to you, you are likely to resist this first important part of the process. Most of us would much rather back away from any of the darker emotions than walk toward them. Sometimes it feels as if the story itself is the enemy. You want to stay as far away from it as possible because getting close is like opening a wound. Very likely you don't want to remember the injury, or how much you've been hurt, or how helpless you feel, or how afraid you are that there's no way out, or the depth of your grief. However, you can't dodge a ball you aren't willing to look at. That's why it's so important to allow yourself to feel what you feel. When you look straight at the story, when you square your shoulders and don't cringe away, you take this step toward applying your personal power to your suffering. If you can't quite center on it, listen to what you say when someone asks you how you are. Then pay attention to what you feel when you answer. If you're like most of us, you'll reply automatically with, "I'm fine," or "not bad," or "as well as can be expected." But while those words are coming out of your mouth, you might be afraid you'll burst into tears if you tell the truth. Well, what is the truth of what you feel? Loneliness, anger, abandonment, fear? Whatever it is, that is likely to be the kind of story yours is. This is important because you can only change what you're willing to look at, and because only the truth will provide access to your personal power, and because suffering is a story you truly can change. So the first mindful step is to look at your story and name what kind of story it is. That's it. Step one is that simple. Look at your story and name what it is. Now, simple isn't necessarily easy. If you're in the habit of pushing through your suffering just to carry on, or if you tend to deny or resist it, you may be challenged by this step. You may find the known to be more comfortable than moving into the unknown of introspection, or your vulnerability, which is at the heart of your suffering, may not want to be seen. But if you've watched through to the end of this video, I suspect you have the courage to take this first step. And I suspect you are sufficiently motivated to find true freedom from your suffering. Well, the change you seek is certainly possible. So when you have a clear idea of the emotional state you're in, and you can call your suffering by name, click the link below for part 2 of this series, which is Own Your Part. In my book, Being the Creator, The 5 Modes of Emotional Power, I develop our model for accessing the full measure of your personal power to help you become the creator of your own life. You can find this book at most online bookstores or visit our website, modesofemotion.com, to order a copy directly from the publisher. If you found this video to be helpful, please like us and subscribe to our channel. Also, please visit our website by checking the link below. Share your email address to receive a copy of my ebook, Easing Pain: 8 Action Steps for Long-Term Relief. I hope you join me for all 6 videos in this series. And until we meet again, look at the world with wonder and at yourself with warmth.